son. We'll be all right.
I thought you were bringing a coffee mug. You told me I'm going to grab my favorite coffee mug.
I gave you this one instead of have water.
It might be a little hot.
Well, I did. That's what happens when you turn 65. You forget everything.
So have you gone from what was the one have you gone from CRS to craft yet?
Craft. Yeah.
I'm still below that.
Well, you're good.
Not quite to craft. Okay. He's good then.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm still below.
Yeah, you got plenty of time. We're good.
Yeah. All right. Y'all ready?
Let's go, boy.
Fired up.
That's what I like to hear.
5, 4, 3. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live.
All right, everybody. Y'all know what time it is. Tonight's going to be a wild one. So buckle up, Buttercups, because it's time for another wild ride on an episode of Backroad Banner. I'm your host, Chris Dollard, and joining me are some really great friends and co-hosts of the show, Eric Richter and Willie Leach.
What's up?
Howdy ho! And we do have a special guest tonight. I'll let Willie introduce him here in a little bit.
Papacito.
Yeah, it's time to get the show on the road, y'all. All right. Well, Willie, you want to go ahead and just give the introduction?
I can.
Let's do it.
Well, everyone, we got maybe some might consider one of the friendliest people in Shiner, Texas. He's the king of Vlastenec, hailing down from the hills of the Ozarks of southeast Missouri. Also my pops, so known him a long time, as long as I can remember. So here he is, my pops, Bill Leach, or as these guys want to call him, Wild Bill.
Wild Bill.
Hello, boys.
What's going on, man?
How's everybody doing?
Oh, yeah. Glad to have you on the show, Bill.
All right. I thank you all for having me on here.
Yeah,
I know we all been talking about this one. Like, we got to get Wild Bill on the show.
Yeah,
man.
we've been threatening this for a little while now.
We've been going at it.
Now Willie can't get out of line because his daddy's over here.
I mean, I can't get out of line at all. He's got plenty of time to watch me now.
I think I can still get him over my knee.
Yeah. We'll help you.
Just Saturday, we were doing a surprise retirement party for Dad here. And so there I am trying to, sneak out, and I'm sitting there, lighting up the pit. Shoot, what was it, about 6:30 Saturday morning?
About 6:30, man.
And then he calls me a few hours later. He's like, I saw you out there at 6:45 lighting that pit up. I'm like, going out to tell him, like, oh, I'm prepping lunches for the next week.
I sat there, I looked out the back door, and I stepped out on the back porch and done my business. And I looked, what is he doing down there? Man, it's cold, it's raining.
Man, it's dedicated.
It was cold.
I thought I raised him better than that.
God damn, he lost his marbles now.
What you used to tell me? Buy them books and send them to school.
All they do is eat the covers.
Oh, man. Well, like I said, we're glad to have you on the show, Bill, and it's going to be a great show. I already know it, man. You've always got some great stories every time we talk to you. But we usually like to start the show off with a little warm-up question. So my warm-up question for all of us is, what is one lesson that you learned in life that you can pass on to everybody else? Like, what's one lesson that you've learned from maybe your dad or some great...
I guess the most important thing, guys, that you can do in life is be as honest as you can, and treat people with all respect. Treat them with all respect, and then help people, stuff like that, and do the best you can. If you got a family, always your family. Take care of your family. Always remember the good Lord comes first.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good message.
That is
Great
a good message.
Dang, let's just let him talk. I'm just going to say
Yeah.
I can't teach nobody nothing but to do wrong.
I was like, we're going to have to leave it at that. I don't know, man. I don't think we can top that one.
Yeah.
But if you have something, let's go with it.
Oh, I mean, I can't top that one, but something I find very important, and I can say my mom taught me a lot on this one, and that was she made darn sure I knew how to balance my checkbook.
Yeah.
Mom,
that's another good thing.
Yeah. Mom instilled a pretty good sense of a financial responsibility in me, and like is definitely a gift. I know that I can always thank her for. So that was a very important one, and it's done well for me.
Heck yeah.
And, your parents, man, is the ones who raised you, man, is the one, who put you on the straight line, They're the one that got you, taught you what you need to know, and and hopefully you can do the same thing,
Yep.
in your life,
Maybe a grandparent or two.
Yeah, maybe a grandparent or two, yeah.
Yeah, you got a couple of grandkids over there to chase around.
Yeah.
Aaron and Chris provided you.
Yeah. Your grandkids, whatever, whoop them as much as you can.
Yeah. Or if not, taking to Walmart, they'll whoop them.
Right.
Yeah. Take them to Walmart and leave your billfold at home.
In his case, it's spoil them as much as you can, I'm sure.
That's what grandparents are for.
That's a grandparent's job.
But yeah, man, it's just at life, man, is when you're starting off, it's always harder, man. When you first get married, first few years, man, it's tough,
Yeah.
Cause you ain't got much money, you're trying to save what you can. Then you have some kids. Then you sure ain't got no money.
Take all your money.
So then that's when the saving the money starts. In, man, when am I going to save this? When am I going to do this?
You hear what he's saying? That was expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're needy.
I'm still driving a truck that was wrecked 4 times already.
Dang.
It went through some hard times,
It's still here though.
but it's still here, boys.
Shoot, what you got for us, Derek?
Man, you know what? Being that it's my grandma's birthday, she passed last year. That'd be a good one. I think I learned a lot from her on that part. Is treat others the way you want to be treated. Especially like I was 5 years older than my brother, and I kind of remember like, man, we would fight, and I was big, I was older or whatever, and she said, Derek Chase. When the middle name comes out, it's on.
You're in trouble, yeah.
And she would. I'd hear that, and she said, "How would you like it if somebody did that to you, or hit you in the back of the head, or hit you with that shoe, or you know what I mean?" And I've taken that, well, I like that if somebody did that to me, and you can always flip it back around. I think that was probably. I've lived a lot by that. I like to be treated that way, so I'm not going to do it to you.
Right, Derek, buddy.
Yeah.
It's all about respect,
Yep.
It all boils down to that word right there,
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
And it just some people don't have it, man. Some people just, and they may never have it in their life.
Sorry, fellas.
Yeah.
It's just something you almost gotta acquire yourself.
Yep.
To make it's a discipline thing.
For sure.
It is. No matter how. But anyway, that's but like you were saying, that it all from your parents, your grandparents, uncles and people like that, man. That's where it comes from a lot.
Yep.
Yep.
And ain't no
I
kidding.
can say I got that from you and Mom, so there you go.
Yeah.
Well, don't say that.
Yeah. You're killing me.
Man.
We don't know. Yeah.
I'm starting to wonder what they think of me now. What the dad thinks of me over here.
Oh, man.
Oh man. But yeah, boy. Man, when I was growing up, boys, when I was younger, up home, before I even got married and moved to Texas, is my grandpa, boy, and them, man, they would whoop you in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah.
I mean, man, they'd whoop you in a heartbeat. You got out of line, it wasn't going to be, I'm going to tell you one more time, That ain't going to happen.
No.
Buddy.
Ain't no second chances.
It don't matter if they got to grab a switch that big or they got the belt to whip off right quick, Here it comes.
Yeah. You can't say that don't work, man.
No, man.
That gets your
No.
attention.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you're going to learn today, boy.
Yeah.
You're going to be, you're going to have to settle down and learn and get straightened out,
Yeah.
Them old timers, boy, they didn't cut much slack.
Oh man. I remember I got whooped real good one time, and that was all it took. It was over. Well, my dad was already 6'4",
Yeah, boy.
probably 280, 270 back then. So I was like, man, he was already intimidating to us when we were younger. And I remember I was smaller, and our dog had a litter of puppies, and they kept walking up on the porch. And they'd come up, and I'd grab them, and I'd throw them off. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why the hell I did it. That's so stupid. But I was just an idiot, and I was young. And there was probably 7 or 8 of them kept coming up, and I'd take them and throw them off the porch. And my mom got on to me, and she ain't gonna do nothing. And I'd keep doing it. And I remember he came out, grabbed me by my arm, and my whole body's in the air just going off the porch. And he set me down in the grass and popped me probably 2 or 3 times
man,
and
boy.
never had to whoop me again.
There ain't nothing hurts worse, boys, than a peach switch about as big as that spring right there.
Oh, man.
If it's coming quick enough, it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt, buddy.
I already know a story you need to tell them if we're talking about a peach switch. You know which one? Little BB gun.
Oh man.
Oh, we gotta hear this.
You got to tell that story.
Yeah, man.
You're talking about getting whooped with a peach switch.
Boy, Christmas time, I was 12 years old, man, and boy, I'd been aggravating my mom and dad all year. Hey, Dad, I'd like to get a BB gun. Well, you don't need one. Come on, Dad. You know how kids are. You know they just keep on. Come on, man. I'd like to get a BB gun.
Shoot your eye out, kid, type of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Just lucky it didn't happen, but it got close. But anyway, man. Yeah, Christmas come on. Got me a BB gun. Remember BB guns you had to reach up here and cock? You
Yeah.
pull it down like this here, you know.
Yeah.
I got one of them, and boy, 2 weeks later, the house we lived in was a 2-story. Had 2 small bedrooms upstairs. Me and my brother slept in one side, and my sister slept on the other side. So we get there, and it was 2 weeks later after Christmas, boy, and we was up there, and so I had got a bright idea, man, to fill that barrel up with water. So I filled her up with a bunch of water, and I cocked that son of a gun, and I let it go. My sister was right here, man, and it hit her right now.
Oh.
And boy, she run downstairs screaming. I thought, man, it scared me to death. My dad, here he come running up them stairs, man. And he had a belt out with the switch, and he had a switch in one hand and a belt in the other hand. And we had to go downstairs. The son, I was running as fast as I could. My brother jumped over the top of me. and old Dad was waiting on me down the steps. I mean, he was giving us, and went outside. And man, when he was still whooping me on the way out the door, grabbed that BB gun, took it outside, and we had an old cedar tree in the backyard, and just wrapped that son of a gun around that cedar tree, man.
Oh. That's it for that.
That was all she wrote.
There went your BB gun.
There went my BB gun.
Yeah.
And the next one I had to buy myself.
Dang, Roy.
But man, it was that was just one time.
There were others.
I had a grandpa. He done a lot of woodwork, man. He'd make little bitty chests, you know, for like kids, you know, and he'd put like little jewelry drawers and little jewelry chests and stuff together. But he had a shop, maybe not the size you got right here, Dirk. Maybe something like that. Because I was pretty young back then. We was about 10 years old. Me and a cousin of mine, old Gary Reeves, and we was in there. We wasn't supposed to be in there, boys. And he had a clock he was making, had it glued up. He had little bitty C-clamps on it and everything, you know, sitting there, boy. We running through there, boys, just going at it, you know. Son, we made that turn, and son, my elbow caught that clock and knocked it off and just busted all to pieces, man. And boy, we run out of there, man. We didn't say nothing. You know, we scared to death to say anything. So a couple hours later, my grandpa walks out there, and boy, he comes out of there, man. He was just smoking hot red, man. Mad boy. He was cussing and everything. Boy, he went in the house and he said, boys, he looked at me and old Gary and said, you broke my clock. And I said, what are you talking about, Grandpa? He said, you broke my clock. I said, no, we wasn't out there. You're lying, he said. Finally, my dad come up and he said, did you break that clock? You know, like a kid, you know, I'm sitting there with my head down, you know, didn't want to say anything. I said, yeah, Dad, we hit it. And boys, they took us outside and they wore, my dad had a razor strap, you know, to sharpen them knives on me, and he whooped me with that. And then old Gary's daddy, son, he found a piece of garden hose, water hose, man, and hooked up Gary.
Oh, man.
Dude, that hose hurts too.
Man.
Oh, dude.
Son, that doesn't razor strap hit before you would get hit, man, it bruised, you know. Man, old Dad wore me out, boy. My grandpa said, I bet you don't do that again. I said, you're right, Grandpa.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It ain't going to happen no more.
Yeah.
Man, all the story ass whooping making me want a beer.
You got the case of the red ass over there?
Anyone want one of these?
Yeah.
You want to try it out?
Let's do.
Willie's got PTSD over there from his
Yeah.
days.
I can honestly say I don't think Dad ever whooped me with a razor strap or a rubber or a garden hose.
I always had old Willie on ADH pills.
That'll tame him down a little bit.
I think y'all like them. They're pretty smooth.
That'll bring it down some.
So y'all know we're drinking. This is by Starbase Brewing, and it's called Occupy Mars. It's a German-style lager out of Austin.
What it tastes like?
Ain't bad.
Pretty smooth. You want?
No, I'm good.
You,
Thank
you can
buddy.
try a sip of mine if you want.
Thank you, buddy.
That really
I know
ain't
you don't
bad.
want a whole beer. It's,
Yeah, that tea. About all I can go is this alcoholic tea over here.
You got that Texas tea in there.
A little
What
bit
did
of
they say?
Texas tea.
What did they say on the Water Boy? He said, "Get some scotch and water. Hold the
Drink
scotch."
it.
Yeah, hold the scotch.
Boy, you know what that tastes like, boys? That tastes like stag.
Man,
that's better. It's better than Stag.
I mean, it's a little better though.
yeah.
It's better than Stag,
I
man.
will say it tastes. It's got a pretty good taste.
You boys ever drink stag beer?
No, I
I have.
It really has, yeah.
Yeah, he knows
Oh,
that.
son, that's some rough beer right there.
I bought that shit when we were in Missouri one time. This is after I was 21. I can't remember what time it was, but I bought that beer. I saw a 12-pack. I'm like, hey, Dad, look at this. I never heard of this Stag beer. And he just looked at me like, he started giggling like, oh, dude, that shit was bad.
Man, I guess you want to drink some kerosene, ain't it?
I mean, just think like what we always thought of the Beast back in the day. The old,
Boy,
Speaking of beer, boys, when I was growing up, we, especially when I got into drinking beer in high school, man. Me and 2 or 3 buddies of mine, boy, back then, son, you could buy them little 7-ounce Pony Millers, them little Budweisers and all that, you know. We had an old boy up home, man. We go down there and beer joint and say, hey, man, we need a couple of cases of beer. Well, where you parked at, Bill? You know, well, we're back here by the warehouse here on the backside over here. And so what do y'all want? So get us 2 cases of them little Pony Millers, you know. I think back then you could buy 2 cases for like $8 or something. And they was 36 to a case in there.
man.
But they wasn't 7 ounces, you know.
Yeah, it was
man.
just 7
So
ounces.
we get them 7-ounce bottles, you know. And boy, we'd go riding around. Son, we'd go just everywhere, riding and everything. So we done that for a long time. Well, the old boy that buy beer for us, he was a little funny. He was on the left side.
He was on the left side.
Well, anyway, man, son, he got loaded up one Saturday night. We stopped there to get some more beer about 10:30. You know, we knew that beer joint closed at 12, so we stopped there to get some more beer. And he said, I wasn't there, boy, man, that dude was drunk. He said, man, I said, hey, Bill. His name was Bill too, man. But he was left and I was right. But anyway, man, he said, man, will you take me home? And man, I didn't want to be seen with that guy, man. Because me and old Ronnie White, a buddy of mine, we riding together. But I knew if we didn't take him, he wouldn't buy us no beer, you know. So I said, well, yeah, Bill, I didn't know where he lived, man.
Yeah.
He said, Bill, I said, how far you live from here? He said, about 4 miles, he said. I said, yeah, I'll take you home. He said, you boys need some more beer? I said, yeah, we'll get us another case, you know. So he comes up and gets the case, and man, he gets in the back seat, you know. Me and old Ronnie's up front, and I said, Bill, tell me how to get to your house. So he said, okay. So we're driving, but where he tells me to go was the same road that went to my grandma and grandpa's house. I said, hey, Bill, said you live on this Fraser's Creek Road here? He said, yeah. I said, man, I didn't know that. So we drive, and then all of a sudden, hey, hold on right here, Bill, just pull off of this gate right here. Just an old galvanized gate, man, you know, right there, boy. I pull in there, and I said, go ahead, Bill, I'll wait on you for opening it up, and I'll take you home. He said, no, he said, you can't get back to my house, he said. I said, well, how you gonna get home? I'm gonna walk. He said, I said, man, how far you live back in there? He said, about 2 miles, he said, from here.
Oh, shit.
I said, man, Bill, you know, I said, man, you should know. He said, you won't be able to get back here, he said, well, I dropped him off, and he laid a $20 bill in the front seat. I said, Bill, I don't want that money, man. Thank you. You buy us beer and everything. No, you keep it. Keep it in the front seat, you know. So I said, man, he wouldn't take it back, man. So we left, you know, man, and I was telling some guys, I said, hey, some guys I knew, you know, man, a little older than me that knew him. Mm-hmm. I said, boys, I dropped him off over here to go home. And he said, Bill, he's been working for Brown Shoe Company And that was probably 20 years he'd been working there already. And what he done, he had a 3-wheeler. He rode that 3-wheeler out to that gate, and he caught a ride with the guy coming down that road. He rode with that guy for 20 years. Well, that guy passed away. The guy was telling me, he said, Bill, he got another guy in Sylvia. He'd ride that 3-wheeler to that gate, then he'd walk to Sylvia, which was about a half a mile from where he lived, caught another ride. He worked there 43 years and never missed a day of work.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's no joke, boys. That's a God-honest truth, man. He never missed a day of work.
Wow.
That's a story.
And where he lived at,
That's some determination right there.
and boy, and I finally got to see where he lived at. Because he said, Bill, you said your mama burns wood for heat through the winter? I said, yes, she does. He said, well, come on back to my house. He said, you'll have to bring your 4-wheel drive truck to get back here, he said. I said, okay. So me and my brother and a buddy of mine, we went back here. Drove, boy, like he said, it's about 2 miles back here.
Golly,
All of a sudden we get there, man, and it's just a big old valley where he lived at, man. Real, probably 100 acres, man. Every bit of it.
Dang.
And old Bill lived in the house, son. It was smaller than this room right here. It might have been half this size. And he didn't have electricity. He didn't have a phone. He had a little 4-cylinder John Deere engine, rigged it up for a generator to run lights.
really?
That's no lie, man.
Wow.
And that's how he lived, man.
Ah, damn.
And son, he never had driver's license. He none of that. It was almost like he was off the grid, you know.
Wow.
Yep. Well, anyway, old Bill passed away. I was living in Texas already when he died. And my mom told me, she said, hey, she said, old Bill, somebody bought his place, you know. I said, well, that's good. I said, and you know, Mom said I said, I don't know how much land he had, but he had a pretty nice place back there. I said, I was back there once or twice. Well, anyway, the guy that moved there, come to find out, was his son
Oh, really?
from years ago. That old boy, he'd been in prison in Kentucky for a while. But he moved there, son, from where he was at, and he took over that place. That's all them tanks you seen down there, son, all dug all them fishing ponds.
Really?
Yes, sir, buddy. That old boy, he turned it into
You
a
mean
big,
where we went fishing?
yeah, right there.
Oh, I know exactly where that.
That old boy, he built a bunch of tanks there. But the way he built them, boys, he built them straight down, just made them rectangle.
Yep.
And probably what, Willie? Length of a football field or a little longer? Probably probably about.
Left to where you can drive in between them.
Yeah, you left it where you could drive in between them.
It's
And son, that water come right up under that road.
Yep.
It's perfectly level.
They're like
Wow.
they're pay lakes.
Yeah, they're pay lakes, buddy.
Like whatever you catch, he
Yeah.
weighs it and you pay him by the pound. Like
Son, you go over there.
catfish,
And
maybe
son,
bass.
son,
Yeah.
if you caught a fish that long, you had to keep it, you know.
Yep.
Because everything worked off of weight, you know. That's how he made. And he married a lady that I used to work with when I was in high school. I worked for her, and she and I never knew it at the time till we went over there, you know. And I said, man, she said, Bill, I said, Clara, man, it's been many years since I've seen you. I was in high school. I worked for her and her husband. I was working in a sawmill there, you know, boys. I was off bearing a saw, man, stacking lumber.
Yes, he worked for sawmills.
Yeah, and so we was up there and we worked for her, and she married that old boy. And so they made a heck of a fishing place back here, man.
Yeah, that was actually a really nice place.
Hey, how many tanks they have?
At one time I had counted them,
Man,
I forgot.
I bet you.
I bet there was at least 10 or 12.
Oh, probably more than that, son.
And then I know there was one up there by their house, and then there was a smaller one down below
Yep.
it, and then the big one started in a line that
Well,
ran all the way back to the road.
She tell me, said, Billy, let me know if you're coming up next year. I'll quit feeding one of these fish, he said, in one of these tanks over here, and that way you ain't got to worry about sitting there all day catching fish, he said.
Didn't they have an albino they used to hand feed?
Yeah, they had a big old, son, that son was almost long as this table right here.
Yeah. Big old albino catfish.
She'd keep that feeding her hand. That big old albino catfish running there, boy, and he would just eat that fish, you know, boy.
We had some albinos in your tank, but
And I had some, but them fish cranes got them.
Yeah.
well, it's getting a little low. They still in there? Mm-mm. Oh boy,
I haven't seen them for a while.
getting a little too low.
Boy, we need some rain, boys. We need some
yeah.
runoff, you know.
Yes,
We
sir.
need
Yeah.
some runoff water, bad.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's been off and on kind of raining.
Yeah.
But it just ain't like
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
down.
Yep.
Yeah, we need something, son. a good 6 or 8 inch good rain.
Yeah.
And let it fill, and then let it rain about another 6 inches, fill them tanks up, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That ground, boys, is dry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You dig down about that deep, man, son, it's just hard as a rock.
Yeah.
It's done like this floor.
Yeah.
I ain't done no digging lately.
I try not to do that. It's bad for my health.
I told Willie come dig them holes for me.
You don't need a tractor. You got Willie.
Get that front end loader and we'll see if we can get it.
That old fiberglass handle post over
Oh. I hope it's fiberglass. You remember the one, Chris Klecker? He's got some. They got metal handles all the way up.
Yeah,
we
Them
got
damn
some of
things
those.
are heavy, like square tubing all the way to the top.
I'm gonna tell you something, boys. I tell you dig a hole with them, you ain't gonna dig but one today.
Be a little sore.
That's a heavy son of a gun, ain't it, Willie?
Heck yeah. Well,
man.
Bill, so I know me and Rick would like to know, and also our listeners, they would probably like to know who you are and where'd you come from?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Where'd I
Where are you
originate
born from?
from?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Give us a little quick synopsis, a little
Yeah.
history lesson about yourself.
Well, boys, I'll tell you what, I was born in southeast Missouri, about 60 miles from Kentucky line, and about, probably 80 miles from Mississippi, Tennessee line.
Dang.
And just to hop and jump, about 60 miles north of Arkansas line.
Oh, really?
Where that boot hill comes down in Missouri.
Yeah.
I was born right there, and they call that southeast Missouri, right there.
Southeast Missouri.
We born in a little town. Well, I guess the biggest town be where I was born be Greenville. It probably got 400 people in it. That's where I went to school at, and didn't graduate. I wound up graduating from Gonzales, Texas.
Oh, really?
That's true.
I got married. I went to 12 years of school, but boys, I missed one too many days in a semester, and they wouldn't let me graduate.
Really?
Really, but so I got married to my wife. We moved down here in 1981. Yeah, 1981. Yep, come down here, and I went to apply for GVC. I remember I went over there because my father-in-law said that's a real good job. So I trucked over there, and I went in there and talked to the guy in there and everything. And he sat down. He was a real nice feller. He asked me, he said, "Man," he said, "Do you have a diploma? You know?" I said, "Sir, I don't have that." I said, "Man, I went." He said, "Did you go finish school?" I said, "I finished school." I said, "I finished all 12 years, but they wouldn't let me graduate." He said, "How come?" They told me I missed too many days in a semester. He said, "Man, I never heard of that." That's what they told me. And then he told me, he said, "Would you be willing to take a GED, you know?" I said, "Well, sure, you know, I wouldn't, I'd take one." He said, "Well, let me call down here Gonzales." He said, I know that superintendent down there." He said, "Real good." So he calls down there, man, and this was about 10:30 in the morning. He got off the phone there. He said, "I'll tell you what," he said, "Mr. Leach," he said, "if you'll stop there before you go home," but he said, "about 1 o'clock, she said she would give you 2 tests today." So I said, "Well, yeah, I'll go by there, you know." So I went and got me a little bite to eat over there, somewhere there in town. I can't remember where it was at. But anyway, I got over about 1:45, and I walked in there and asked somebody where her office was and showed me where it was at. So I went there and sat down and got to talking to her, and I noticed there was a picture on her desk there. And I knew them people, in that picture. You know, man, I walked there, you know, and I said, "Ma'am," I said, "You know them people?" She said, "Yes, I do." She said, "My daughter," "No, her son married that guy's daughter, which was my wife's first cousin."
Oh, really?
And I said, "I do know that." She said, "Is that right?" Well, she figured out, well, you know, I kind of know some of the family now, you know. So she said, "Mr. Leach," she said, "if you want to, we can do 2 of them tests." She said, "You get 90 minutes per test," she said. "And we got a room back here. You'll be in there by yourself. I'm going to set a time clock on my desk here," she said. "If you want to do it, we'll do 2 of them today, you know." So here she goes. She gives me the first test was history. Got that done. She brought me the next test was English. Got that done. She said, "Come back Monday morning about 9:30 and we'll finish it up," she said. Went back Monday morning, boys, done 3 more. 6 weeks later, I had my diploma from the Gonzales Apaches, boys. No joke.
When did you get that? Huh? When did you get that?
Oh, man, that must have been it was in 81.
You sure?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, because that's the first job I applied for, and I had to get it done, and I didn't get the job.
Oh man, I know they want that. They want that now.
Yeah, they do, man.
They want that high school diploma.
Yeah, they want that, boys. But anyway, man, I was born there, and met my wife. I had a bunch of 2 uncles that lived in St. Louis, and I graduated, and you know how an 18-year-old kid is riding around drinking beer, hear less about what happened, you know.
Yeah.
That's another mistake don't make, boys.
Yeah. Yeah. We never did that.
No.
They never did
No,
that.
we were saints.
But yeah, man, I got out of high school, and I piddled around for about, 2 months, I guess, boys, riding around, drinking beer, working odds and end jobs here and there at sawmills and everything, which, that's just a job, boys. That's just a job to get you some spending money.
Yeah.
Anyway, my mom, she said, you're going to have to get a job, I said, man, Mom, I didn't really want to go to work now. She said, no, you're going to go to work. She said, somewhere right now. Well, one of my uncles come down that weekend, and he come down, and Mom said, hey, are y'all hiring up there where you work at? Which was in St. Louis, He said, well, we might be. He said, he needs to go to work. He said, he ain't going to be riding around all Sunday, fiddling around, drinking beer and all this here, So my uncle said, well, let me go back. He said, I'll talk to the main guy there. So he went back and talked to him. And he said, man, he said, we're going to hire a couple of people. So he calls my mom, So Mom tells me that night. She said, hey, they're going to be hiring somebody. Well, I said, Mom, you know what? I just talked to old Bob White down here. Bob White used to work with my daddy at the highway department. Well, he was a big dog. My dad had done quit and went on his own. He had his own business. Well, old Bob, he seen me in town with another boy. We down there drinking beer and fiddling around. And he said, hey, Bill, he said, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I said, man, I don't know, Bob. He said, you want to go work for the highway department? Yes, but I said, man, I don't know. I said, I never thought about that. He said, well, so he's sitting there, we talking back and forth. He was a big road overseer, man. He done been there for a long time, He said, well, hold on, he said. So he takes out a piece of paper and writes his on there, man, and everything, signed his name at the bottom. He said, take that with you, go down to Sikeston, Missouri, and give it to the man's name on there, he said. I said, man, Bob, that's a 90-mile drive from here. He said, well, if you want to get on, he said, that's where you got to go. So I went and took it to my mom. And then I get home, and she said, well, Leon just called and said you want a job, you got it, I said, well, Mom, I may get to go to work here. 'Cause I didn't want to go to St. Louis, man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to the city. And she said, well, if you want to go work for the highway department, she said, I said, well, old Bob, just give it to me. Was she ready? And she said, well, I'll take you down there Monday morning. So Mom drives me all the way down to Sikeston, man. Hour and a half drive. We drive down there. We get down there about 9:30 in the morning. We go in there, lady up there at the front. I told her, I said, ma'am, I'm here to see a guy by the name of Bob Cummings, She said, sir, do you have an appointment? I said, no, I don't have no appointment, man. She said, well, it's going to be pretty hard to get to see him unless you have an appointment, And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I had that note in my pocket. I said, I'll tell you what, I understand. I said, you don't mind to give this to him. Give it to him for me, because that guy that wrote it told me to give it to him. So she said, well, I said, I'm sorry, So just me and Mom sitting down there for just a minute. Mom wanted to sit down and take a little break, So she goes back there. And this old boy comes out, right behind her. Said, well, where'd they go? She said, she said, oh, he said, I'm glad you're here. He said, sir, come on in. That's how politics work, boys. That's how it's done. But anyway, man, I go in there, man, and he said, man, he said, you know Bob White? I said, yeah, I do know him. I said, he's one. I seen him down to town. I said, we was down there. Me and a buddy of mine was running around, drinking beer and everything. And he come up to me and asked me, did I want to go to work for the state, you know? And he said, man, he said, I'll tell you what, he said, give me 2 weeks, he said, I'll find a place for you. So sure enough, son, about 7 days later, I get a letter in the mail. The mom says, hey, you got a letter there from the highway department. I opened that sucker up, boys. Said, congratulations, Mr. Leach, you've been hard. We need you to report to Kennet, Missouri, which was about another 90 miles from Mom down there. And it said, be there Monday morning at 7 o'clock. You're a hard start. I never showed up, boys. I didn't know If I would have showed up, I've been retired a long time ago.
Yeah, 30 years, right?
Yeah, 30 years.
Hey, speaking of that,
Missouri's 30 years.
congratulations on retirement.
Yes.
Congrats.
We never brought that up
Congrats.
yet.
I know. I kind of did early on, but
Oh, yeah.
so it ain't been very long. How's it feel to be retired, Pops?
Yeah, boys, I can only think of one thing better. Cause that'd be, I guess, well, there ain't nothing I can think of right now. But
You put him on the spot, Willie.
I guess, boys, there really ain't nothing. Feels good.
That's pretty damn good.
So how long did you work over at Bedekers?
Let me see. I think, boys, if I would have stayed till the end of May, I think I would have had 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
If I would have stayed.
Hey,
buddy.
what'd you do over there?
Machinist?
Machinist?
Yeah,
Okay.
machine. I worked in the machine shop.
Yep.
And I tell you, man, when I first started machining, fellas, I guess it was, when I went to work for Lockheed Aircraft. That was about, let's see, Willie. Well, I'm trying to think when that was.
Lockheed?
Lockheed, yeah. Me and old Pat Chumchaw.
That was probably before me, so.
Yeah, it was, yeah, it was, yeah. I'm thinking, son, well, I don't know, it might not have been.
Well, I've heard the story, so.
Well, anyway, me and old Chumchaw went to work for Lockheed Aircraft, buddy.
Pat Chumchall's what you're
I know.
talking about.
Oh, okay.
We ain't never figured out why we did that.
Still a mystery.
We driving 85 miles one way, 85 miles home, you know, man. We was working, I think back then we was doing like maybe 10, half, 11 hours a day, you know.
Oh, man.
But that's where we first started. We started right there, you know, man. Then Lockheed, Austin wouldn't give them a tax break. And they wouldn't. They wanted this X amount of money broke off, you know, or they would stay.
Yeah.
They probably employed. I think that one guy told me they had a lot of guys there from California, man. That's where Lockheed. They got a big plant in Sunnyvale, and them guys said, "Good old boys, man." I mean, some of them old boys. You talk about drinking beer, man. And them boys took the beer away, buddy. Me and old Jumbo. But anyway, man, we got there, and I guess we worked there maybe about it wasn't a year, man. Because, then we decided to go ahead and quit, which was probably a good thing we did, because there wasn't too many months after that, man. They shut the whole plant down, got rid of everything, moved everything back to Sunnyvale, California.
Really?
Yeah, they did, boy. I think they employed about 3,500 people in Austin, man,
Yeah.
that time, boy.
Wow.
They wouldn't give them that tax break, boy, and they shut her down and headed out. Then from there, I went to work for, you know what, I came back to Shiner and come back over here to Casper's. Went to work there for about, I worked there probably, the first time I worked there before I got on was about 12 years. Then we got there, then we got another wild hair man to go make a little more money at Alamo Group in Seguin.
Yeah.
And we went there, you know, man. And up there, man, I was fabricating, you know, doing fabrication work, you know. Mm-hmm. And
I remember when you did that. Yeah.
we worked there, I guess, about, I don't know, boys, maybe 2 years. And then at Kimlon, over at Engle, they had some jobs come on. I seen it, it was in the Shiner Gazette. And I said, you know what? Man, that's a lot closer, you know.
Yeah.
So we quit there. Because it was me, an old boy from Moulton, and two guys from Gonzales was riding together. And, you know, man, that was a good stretch too, boy, 50 miles, 100 miles a day, you know, man.
Yeah.
So I get on over here, and I worked for Kimlon, man, I guess probably, probably 12, 14 years. machine in there. We done there. That's all metal, buddy. That's all Inconel, stainless steel. You're doing magnesium. All that there. It's in the work there. And then I applied over here at Backroad, and me and my wife was at HEB one day, man, and old boy was in there, man. Old Mike Ryan was in there. He said, "Hey, Bill, you still want to get closer to home?" I said, "Man, I would like to, you know." He said, "Well, stop by and see me Monday." You know, this was Saturday. So he said, "I'll be waiting on you there." So he waited there, man. I got there and walked in there, man, talked to him not even 20 minutes, and hard me right there, and I give him 2 weeks notice, and I've been over here for 6 years. That was it right there, man.
Oh, man.
It's kind of crazy to follow the path of where you went.
It
you
is.
know what I
Well,
mean?
you know, it is.
Yeah.
I had to do a little thinking there for a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And I still might have missed somewhere.
Yeah.
He threw me off when he says, "I found the job in the newspaper." You don't
Yeah.
do that anymore. It's always in the internet.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he's talking about Camelon. We're talking the 90s.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you, man, but
You know, we were living just about a mile and a half from where we live now. There was a 2-story house where we used to live.
Oh, really?
And that's when you started working at Camelon. I remember
Yeah.
he worked nights.
Yeah.
That's why I remember that.
yeah.
And he worked
you-
Alamo Group before that. Yeah.
Well, you know where old Boynock lives?
Who?
Oh, Stephen Boynock?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
There used to be you remember that gray house that sit there, a 2-story gray house? You sit there?
Yeah, they got a brick house there now.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, around that curve. That
Yes.
Yeah,
curve.
right there.
Yeah.
That was the second place me and my wife bought.
I think you told me that when y'all were in high school.
Yeah,
We were in
there
high
was a 2-story farmhouse there. It was on blocks.
It was on blocks, yeah.
Huh.
Tell you a story
Yeah.
about that, boy.
That house got moved to the Oakham Highway somewhere.
It was it was real interesting how me and my wife come across to buy that, man. We'd always ride out 966, sometimes go to HEB and go grocery shopping, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do it all the time, but we living in town, and we'd drive along, and all of a sudden, man, we driving, you know, man, and there was a sign about the side of the back of that computer deal right there, just beside the road there. It said, "House, 4 acres for sale." So, man, I looked at it, you know, and I said, "Well, you know what?" She said, "Boy, that is a nice little place right there, you know." House had vinyl siding on it and everything. It had been redone.
Mm-hmm.
So I come back through, and I stopped and I wrote that phone number down. And I get home back and unload them groceries, and I call that number, and an old man answers that phone. He said, "Yes." He said, "It is for sale, sir." He said, I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, is there any way that me and my wife could look at it?" He said, "We sure can." He said, "I could," said, "whenever you want to go, you just call me back. If you want to go now, we'll go now." So I told Pat, I said, "You know, if you want to go just a little bit later on, we'll call and tell him, you know." So I told him before I got off the phone, I said, his name was Mr. Strotman. His name was Arnold Strotman. So he said, I said, "Mr. Strotman," I said, "Tell you what, we'll meet you out there about 3:30. Would that be okay?" "That's okay," he said. "I'll see you all out there." So once we drive out there and we get out, he takes us in the house, been all redid, everything. He told us everything that he'd done to it. He even told us what it used to be. He said, "Boys," he said, "you may think this is crazy." He said, "But it used to be a barn," he said.
Oh,
He said, "It used to be full of hay," he said.
That's funny.
Yeah. And he said it's 4.2 acres, he said. And it had a natural gas pipeline run right through the backyard, and it was piped to the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
he had that set up, you know. Well, anyway, that piece of little property right there used to belong to all that surrounding property there, man. There was one family that owned that, and I think their name was it Wales? I think, man. I believe he told me. He said, "I'll tell you what," he said, "Mr. Leach, if you want to buy this," he said, "and you're interested in buying it," he said, "you don't have to go to the bank," he said. He said, "I'll do it all myself."
Really?
Oh,
He
wow.
said, yeah, he said, "I'll finance the whole thing." He said, "I'll do it all." And you know, I said, "Mr. Donald, you'll give us a few days to talk about it." He said, "But if you get somebody to buy it in between, you know, just go ahead and sell it, you know."
Yeah.
He said, "Okay." So me and Pat went back home. We talked about it, man, everything, you know. We decided we were going to buy it. I called him back. He said, "I'll tell you what," he said, "Dave, would be good for you to meet with a lawyer, you know." I said, "I'll tell you what," I said, "it really don't matter." I said, "Anytime you want to do it." He said, "I'll set it up, and I'll get back with you." So he called a lawyer. His lawyer was in Hallersville, old Babers. And we go over there, buddy. He said he had it all drawn up. Everything was done, ready to go. We just read a few pieces. Back then, you could only had about 5 or 6 pieces of paper. Now, son, they got a book now.
It's a little book. Well, I know.
Got that fine print in there.
Yes, sir. Yeah. You better have about 8 or 10 ink pens before you get through signing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that thick.
Oh,
You
man,
ain't
it's
even got a
crazy,
house on it.
Man, that old guy, and he only had one child, man, and his daughter lived in Houston. And he said, Mr. Leach, he said, this is real simple. He said, it's going to be this X amount of money per month. He said, if something happens to me, he said, my daughter, all you got to do is contact her and it'll just keep going just like it is. She said, until you pay it off. So, sure enough, man, he passed away. And so me and Pat, by that time, we had enough money to go ahead and pay her off, Mm-hmm. So I called her on the phone. And I said, is this Mr. Trotman's daughter? She said, yes, it is. She said, I said, ma'am, this is Bill Leach down here. I said, I'm the one that bought that house from him down here, and we would just like to pay you off. She said, oh, she said, okay. She said, I said, how do you want to go about doing that? She said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. She said, give me the name of your bank. So I'll give her the name of my bank. She said, I will call them and tell them, that they can do the money to my account in Houston, Mm-hmm. So she took care of it all, son. I didn't do nothing, man.
Really?
And then it wasn't about a couple months later, me and Pat got the title and the deed and everything, man, in the mail,
Dang.
Just it was easy as that,
I wish it was like that now. You got to watch people trying to
Oh, yeah,
get
boy.
to you
Yeah.
now.
Oh, yeah. You
They'll put
have a
the shank
lawyer
on
look
you, man,
over it nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing like a straight land deal, like not going through a bank.
Oh,
yeah. Have a lawyer look over it now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, boys, I've heard of guys, that is a lot of stuff they do on just, it's a deal,
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
you can't do that, boys.
No, not no more.
No.
You can't.
God.
You can. I tell you what.
You got shit where people like, you think you're buying the whole place, but you might only own a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and like
boy.
that's in some
That
fine
ain't
print
true.
somewhere. And
That
you
ain't
ain't got a
no
lawyer
lie.
looking at that. You might miss that. Yeah.
Well, I tell everybody, I said, boys, if you ain't for sure, man, get your lawyer on it.
Yeah, for
Man,
sure.
get your lawyer to look at it. 'Cause, boys, I tell you what.
Especially some of that old.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
stuff going on,
Yeah,
too.
man. Better get it looked at.
All the mineral rights and shit.
rights.
Yeah.
All that. Ugh.
Yeah. Because there's some extra agreements you can do for like, them putting roads in and different entrances and stuff.
Oh.
And they'll come in and just stick you on a right of way or something.
Yep.
Oh,
That ain't no
man.
joke.
Yeah, that's
You
bad.
talking about boys asked me about Southeast Missouri. That my grandpa, and he when I was growing up, kid and everything, he was telling me stories when he was a younger man. He was born right up here in Cleburne, Texas, boys, right out southwest of Dallas there.
Yeah.
And he moved when he was 14 years old to Izard County, Arkansas.
County.
Izard County.
Bang.
And he always talked, and there's a place there called, Calico Rock, name of that place.
Yeah.
It's a rock, son, what it is. They
Okay.
call it Calico
I
Rock.
think I've heard that
Arkansas.
before.
Have you, buddy?
Yeah.
It's a little town there too.
Matter of fact, son, it
Yeah.
ain't too far
It's a little town.
from Missouri right there.
Yeah.
Up there. Well, anyway,
Kind
they
of
moved up there, man. That was
north
in,
central Arkansas.
let's see, my grandpa died in 81. Let's see. And so he was born, I guess, around 1900, man. Because he died in 81, and he was 82 years old. So he must have been about 1900, 1899. Well, so 15 years later would have put him to 1915, say. So they moved to Eastern County, Arkansas. Well, he was 15 and was already driving. Driving everything. Of course, back in, man, people had to go here and there,
Lord, was he driving a Model T or what?
Yeah, I forgot what he said he was driving now, but he said by the time he was 17, he was already into delivering.
Yeah, it had to be something with a crank.
He was already into delivering some homemade whiskey.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
Hey, it's a pretty good
Yeah.
gig.
Yeah.
When they passed Prohibition, was it 1919?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But yeah,
So
boy, they,
sometime around
that's
that
no
age, he
joke,
would have
you know.
been. Yeah,
But they,
he would have been around that age. Yeah.
But he said, man, they would go out, cut wood, you know, for everybody on that he'd stack it around here. Then they'd put all that whiskey down in between there, and they put that wood on top of that liquor. I guess here. And then they would, then he would go into town, stop here and there, man, make a delivery, you know, drop a jug here, drop a jug there, you know. He said for him to drive and deliver, said he was making $2 a day. He said, boy, son, I was in high cotton. He said,
$2 a day.
a day, man, back then, you know. That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know it's crazy seeing how much it's changed now. You know,
Oh,
$2
man, boy.
was a lot of
Yeah,
money
yeah.
back
Oh,
then.
A lot of money. Man, I've heard them old timers say, boys, I work all day long, sun up to sundown, man, for 50 cents, you know.
Yeah.
You hear that, you know, boy. That's crazy, ain't it?
That is.
That is crazy, boy. But man, but you know, but we, I know I took Willie and them up there for the first, up that part of the country, boys, you know, it's like, man, I tell you what, I got a lot of relation up there. And boys, is like, we go up there to hunt sometimes, you know. And hunting up there, man, it's a lot of government land.
That's what I heard.
It's a lot of government land.
We're talking about Missouri. Right?
Yeah, this is Missouri
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Yeah, not Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, Arkansas, it might be the same way.
think
I don't
it
know.
is.
It is.
Yeah, it might.
Yeah, there's a lot of public land.
So, man, right where I was born and raised, son, you can be in Arkansas, son, in less than an hour. Yeah, you can be in northern Arkansas there
Yeah.
pretty quick. Ain't
Pretty
we?
close, yeah.
Pretty close there.
It was about 30 minutes to Poplar Bluff, and
You tell them about old Leachville, Arkansas?
them.
Yeah, there's a town there, buddy, called Leachville, Arkansas.
Yeah, Brandy and I went there
That's
this
no
past
joke,
summer
buddy.
when we went up.
Oh, you know what? I think I did see it.
Yeah.
Y'all had a video.
We
Yeah.
took us. That's like just south of the Boot Hill.
Yeah, boy, so it's just right south there a little
in
bit,
the,
you know.
Yeah, in the eastern part of Arkansas. It's,
okay.
Now out there, it's mostly just farmland. It's flat,
Yeah.
farmland everywhere. You know, you ain't got the national forest or anything around.
But leave as quick as you can. Now you come on a little further south, buddy. There's a little town called Batesville, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
across the line into the
Yeah.
into the woods, into the Ozarks.
You're
Yeah,
getting a little more further down towards like I'd say what is that? Woody, probably about an hour drive from there, hour and a half.
yeah,
Probably
like
something like that.
west of there. Yeah, across
That's,
67. Yeah,
But that's where my grandpa, I'll tell you about a while ago.
Yeah.
That's where they kind of wind up settling there because that's real close to Izard County there. And you go there, man. He found even Pete graves buried there. You know by.
yeah. Your great grandpa was buried
Yeah,
there.
my great grandpa was buried there. You know.
I got some of the guys in our group message. I told them, I said, hey, we got Willie's dad on here. Do y'all have any questions y'all would like us to answer them? So we'll do that at the end of the show. And
Okay.
There's a good one in there. We will have to ask you later.
Oh Lord!
Oh, I know. I almost don't want to wait for that one.
I know, right?
And how did I miss the? Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna find out what it
Yeah,
is
boy,
now.
man, it's I tell you what, really, you get in from like them parts of the country up there, bud, all the way, man. Like you start going east, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, son, that's about all the same kind of people.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all the same kind
Yeah.
of people, you know.
Sorry, I'm laughing at.
I say,
Out of response right
my
here.
grandma, she lives over there by the Ozarks.
Right, buddy. Where she live out there, Chris?
Oh, God. Warsaw.
Warsaw, Missouri? Okay, buddy.
Yeah, Warsaw.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, my dad, he's actually originally from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay,
all
buddy.
his sisters and his mom, or
Yeah.
his sisters are up there.
Okay.
So yeah, he's from Missouri.
I remember
himself.
you used to talk about Branson, wasn't it?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
it's- oh,
Yeah,
it's a
my-
Table Rock.
Branson, my grandpa, yeah,
Okay.
he was living in Branson
All right.
before he
Okay,
passed
bud.
away.
Are any of them listening to this podcast?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one. Maybe my
Maybe
Amber
one,
Bird.
okay.
My Amber Bird. Yeah, she's the one I told y'all the story about. She got soaked up in the tornado.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Grandma,
Yeah, to pull her down. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling them. I said, my dad. I always asked him when I was younger. I said, why don't you have anything from your childhood? He said, well, all the tornadoes took it all away. They never
Wow,
had
boy.
it. Yeah.
Is that right, man?
Yep.
Yeah, they had them pretty bad. See,
Yeah,
how were the
well-
tornadoes where you were at?
Oh, yeah, boy. They-
No, I mean, were they bad where you were at
Yeah,
growing
they're
up?
bad.
Okay.
They were.
Matter of fact, boys, here, was it last year or year before this, man?
I know they've been close a few times.
There was one, son, that hit right before you get into Marble Hill, Missouri.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, what's that called? A little place right there. Wow. It's right outside of Grassy, man, a little ways, and it ain't but about maybe 35, 40 people live right there. It went through there, son, and tell you what, man, I think it killed like 10 or 15 people.
I think I do remember seeing
You remember that, bud?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Some of my brother was telling me that they was a couple come there to see her grandma. That girl and her boyfriend come there, I think, to see her grandma. And they got there, son, today, and the next day, son, that tornado happened, and it killed both of them.
Oh, man.
And they said an old man they found, he was still in the recliner, still sitting in the recliner, and they drove that recliner, son, in that field, son, his head and all straight in the dirt.
God, dude.
And some guns are bad news, boy.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they said they found her, that younger girl. She was laying in the creek dead, and they found that boy on top of a tree dead.
Oh, man.
Boys, I'll tell you a story, man. That talking about tornadoes. That must have been in '80. Man, let me see here. What year did that tornado, son, come through up there in Gerald, Texas?
Oh no, that was probably the '90s, wasn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what. Whenever it was, boys, I was sitting in Missouri.
I remember that.
Son, I was sitting in the unemployment office, man. Sitting in there, man. I was applying for a job, and the old boy on the other side of the table there, man, was on the computer looking. And he said, "Sir," he said, "you tell me you from Texas, right?" I said, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah.
He said, "Son, how far do you live from Gerald, Texas?" I said, "Man, about 80 miles, maybe 85 miles." He said, "Boy," he said, "son, they had a bad tornado there." He said it killed a lot of people. Anyway, I was sitting there. I said, "Man," I said, and it happened that morning. I was in Missouri when it happened. And anyway, go back home, and I called old George up, my brother-in-law. I said, "George," he said, "Yeah, old George's son was coming from work and seen that cloud, man. Boy," he said, "Bill, he said it was unreal how dark it was." He said it was just pitch black that way. He said, "Man."
Yeah, that's just up north of Georgetown, up there.
Yeah,
off
yeah,
of
before that,
35, between Georgetown and Belton. Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Well, that old boy got to reading, son. He got to reading the deputy sheriff that arrived, the first one on the scene. That deputy sheriff, he was reading it. They could hear him, man. I had a copy of that radio report. He said, "Man," he said, "folks," he said, "this is like a war zone, man." He said, "There's bodies laying everywhere."
Oh.
And they said, "Son, check this out." I never will forget that guy. He said, "Sir," he said, "listen to this one right here." He said, "That tornado had such power," he said, "that it actually pulled the toilets and the pipes and all, son, through that concrete."
Oh,
He said,
Oh, wow.
"That's no lie."
It was a Category 5 that hit
Yeah,
Gerald.
those are the biggest ones.
It was in the '90s because I think
that
it was
what it
one
was?
of the times we were
Right.
We were
That's what I'm
when
saying.
we tried to move up there.
Yeah. Another thing,
we can get into that later.
another thing that old boy said, you got to reading on there, man, son, is that some of the cattle, son, they actually had the hide tore off their back, son.
Oh,
Really?
Son, that's no lie, said.
Yeah,
Son, that's some power, boy.
because I
You
remember.
remember that one that hit Joplin, Missouri here a few years, boys, ago?
yeah.
We drove through there, which was 10 years after it probably happened on vacation. We was heading to St. Louis that time, going to George and Gary's. And, boys, I'll tell you what, that killed 162 people that day. And they said that thing was 1.5 miles wide. They said it just took everything in its path,
Golly.
That's a huge tornado, boy.
Yeah, you really don't think about or people see it on TV, oh, that ain't that big, but when you say a
Oh, yeah,
mile
boy.
wide, oh,
Yeah.
man, that's huge.
What was See, I remember because we rode back with Georgie and Gary.
Yeah.
That one year,
Yep.
and we drove through Gerald because we
Yep.
came down 35, and I remember Aunt Georgia making a comment about it. She's like, "Oh, we're driving through Gerald." She's
Yep.
like, "They just had that tornado a few months ago." I
And they
remember
said-
that. It was in the '90s, late '90s, sometime.
Boys, they were
90s.
saying, up there in Gerald, they said some of them concrete foundations, hey, that sounded like you would have took a big broom, son, just cleaned them off. Said it took everything in its path, And they was a family, I remember that this was on the news, I heard. They was a family, if I remember right, son, they was going home, going to there, and they thought it was a bad fire there, man. I think I understood. And them poor people got their son. They got right in the middle of that, and it took them out, boy.
Oh man,
Dang.
Yeah, they had their children and all with them, you know.
man, that's rough.
But boy, son, I tell you what, that'd be hard to drive up on, man.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Ooh, it'd be hard to drive up on.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, boy, you know, man, that'd be something.
I've never experienced seeing an actual tornado in life, but I've been pretty close to it when I was living in Houston. I remember, we were sitting inside, and I looked outside at the window. The whole sky was just
Yeah, boy,
completely green.
So yeah, boy,
And
yeah.
I've read I'm like, something's about to happen.
Yeah,
We're living
yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle of Houston when this is
Yeah, boy.
happening. So we end up going to the gym, I think, or the cafeteria. And at that time, it was warm when we were walking in there. And we walked back out. It was still a little warm, but all of a sudden, just like that, it got cold.
It got cold, boy, you know, man. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, it
Son, I'll tell
got
you,
quiet.
I'll tell you, boy, something. If you got hail, son, there's a tornado close.
Yep.
Really?
It might not be on the ground. It might be going across. But son, that's a good sign there's one there.
Yeah. I remember hearing that too.
Yep, that ain't no joke.
Over recent years, we've had some odd hailstorms out at the house.
Yeah, we have it, boy.
Not a lot, like not big hail, but
Yeah.
like for years we didn't have hail.
No, we didn't. But now,
over
now,
like
boy,
a-
you got it, you know.
Yeah.
Over like I don't know, what about a 8-year span there?
Yep. from-
Almost
it took-
every spring, at least once, we've had a light hail at some
Yeah,
point.
it took it there for a while, boy. You know, you get it. You know, quite often maybe size your fingernail. You know, man. But
And
you
like,
don't get
and it's
nothing.
always when that wind's coming from the west. Is
Yeah.
when it's
Yep.
when it's
So
worst.
when it's coming out that
If
west
it's coming
side.
from the west across east is when it's the worst.
Yep,
Man.
it's gonna get nasty, boy.
Yep. And like there's been a few like water actually came up my pavement on my back porch and actually came under my wall into the rooms.
Oh,
Yep.
damn.
Through the doors.
Yep.
And that's when I know, when I see that, I know that storm came from due west.
That's something gonna come straight out of the west, you know.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often, but it's usually around March or April. We're actually coming up on that here right now.
Oh, no. Start hiding all the vehicles.
I'd say probably several years ago, whenever my mom was still living at home, is my brother built a underground cellar, and he just got it done and everything, and you could see he had a roof on it, son. You could see he left a gap about that wide to get air, you know, about above the ground. And he said, man, he said, son, we were sitting there, and he said, man, it got just dead still. And he said, man, I looked towards the west. He said, man, it was just solid black, man. He said, let's go. He said, let's head for the cellar right now. And he said, son, we all got in the cellar. We got in there. In about 20 minutes, he said, son, it started hailing. And son, he had some of this hail left over. I don't know what he still does or not. Son, that hail, son, it looked like a saucer, man. It was about that big around, and it just tapered off to the end like this here. Yep, that ain't no joke, man. And he said, son, that was coming in horizontal, and it tore my mom's house all to pieces, boy.
Really?
Son, they was taking limbs out of the trees. He said, son, just like you cut them with a chainsaw, just busting them off. He said. He said, son, it sounded like you could hear that tornado coming over. He said, just like say it sounds just like a freight train. He said, son, when it's on top of you.
Oof.
And old mom's house, she fixed it up, and it wasn't 5 years later, she got hit again.
Really?
Yep, got hit again, huh?
Oh, man.
Yep, just looking at it. It blew out all them windows, and every room in her house, boys, had mud, leaves, and sticks and everything in it. Son, that ain't no kidding.
Golly.
Boy, I mean, that sucker was blowing.
That makes me wonder about those people on the coast. Like,
Yeah.
their houses get wiped
Oh,
out.
well,
Yep.
I was just
Man.
going to say, if we're going to run into a tornado here, we're more likely to run into one coming off of a hurricane
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
than we are
Pretty
from
much, yeah.
one coming. Like I said, the weird weather coming from the west, though, kind of makes me wonder sometimes.
Man, I remember Harvey being up in that other house.
Yep.
And, the kids had the trampoline. So, I don't even know if Demi was born. Demi probably wasn't born. Well, we had my oldest. We had a trampoline out front, and I put it on that one side of the shop thinking it was going to block all that wind, and it sucked it like a vacuum. And I seen it shuffling, and it was pouring raining, and it's just shuffling. And all of a sudden, it just flies over the fence. I
Son,
said,
that's
"Oh,
so
man,
good."
it's gone.
Man, that wind's strong, boy.
Oh,
that wind is strong,
Yeah.
buddy.
Oh, man. Yeah, I thought I was blocking it. It just shuffled it on out. Boom, gone.
But it's amazing, man, how much power they got, you know.
I remember
Yeah.
coming home from one of these storms I'm actually talking about, and that would have been the neighbors over there No, I don't know if anyone lives there now. I'm driving down a driveway. Headlights come over that crest that little hill to go down, to go downhill to the house, and there's a freaking trampoline just bent to shit in the damn driveway. I'm like, I look at that thing.
Yeah, that's some good boy.
And I knew it stormed like hell the night before, and it was one of those storms, And I watched it on the radar come out of the west, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna find water in the house again. I already freaking know it. So I'm coming over, and there's a trampoline sitting and I'm sitting there like, well, Aaron and Chris don't have a trampoline. Like, and at the time, that new house that's been built there wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And I knew Pat didn't have a damn trampoline. So I'm like, then it hit me like, oh, that had to come from way the hell over there.
Yeah, come in.
Dude, that thing flew a couple hundred yards.
Oh, every bit of it, man. That's what
Landed
going
in
through
the
the air,
field.
boy,
Man.
It was all mangled to shit right in the driveway. I actually had to get out and like move it off the driveway and drive past it.
I tell you what, boys. When you're in a house, and you don't have time to get anywhere, and you're trying to ride that out, boy, that's a bad feeling.
Yeah.
But man, you don't know where it's at, And usually they like to come at night.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
And that's the worst time, boy, because you don't know, you just don't know, man, You can hear that wind, boy, just hitting that roof. That son of a gun's blowing, boy.
Man, I know we must have had a little twister come through that time, 'cause it blew our pump. We just drilled a new
Did
water
it?
well and everything.
Okay, buddy.
And it blew the pump shed over.
Wow,
And
boy.
it hit the fence, like curled the roof up. And then I had a brand new pellet smoker out there.
Oh, shit.
And it was weird because there was like, those little feed tubs you were talking about the other day? Like the little molasses tubs?
Yeah,
Like
little
black-
man.
the black ones,
There was
yeah.
one of those sitting there, never moved, but my pellet smoker, which took 2 guys to move it, was laying face down out in the rain.
Yep, yeah, man,
picked it up and
it's
chunked
crazy,
it.
man,
God
It
dang.
is. Or they'll come through these situations where them tornadoes, son, they'll come through a real populated place, hit this house, never touch these houses over here.
Yeah.
They make
Yeah.
these 10 houses down there, hit another house,
Yeah.
Never touch these. It's crazy, man,
I've seen that
I heard that in Rockport.
Yep,
There was a house, and 3 houses next to it gone. That house is sitting there.
That house still sitting there,
And
man.
you would think that one would have.
Yeah, you would think that would have went you.
Yeah.
Because it didn't look as good as the others.
No, but man, that happens all the time, man.
This
I
is
think
making me want
sometimes I think that has something to do with the big
Oh, yeah.
man upstairs.
It's
starting to
but-
depress me.
Yeah.
Yeah. thinking
know-
about getting some insurance now.
Boys, I tell you, boys, I heard a story one time. I don't know how true this is right here, but a guy was telling me when he was a little boy, and this guy, he's done and gone already. He passed on. And he said, Bill, I lived the other side of Whitting out there. Okay, back then, Whitting had 2 or 3 beer joints down there, And he said that tornado...
Long time ago.
And he said, Bill, a tornado hit one day, and there was always 6 guys, and the lady that run the bar was always there every day, he said. He said, Bill, that tornado hit, took the whole building away, everything was gone. He said, the foundation was the only thing left. Put her on top of a chicken house with not a stitch of clothes on, he said. Set her down, all them guys still sitting there, Bill, beer still on the deal. He said, that's no lie, he said, Bill. He said the whole thing was gone, Bill. He said,
That's a story right there.
that's what, and he told her for the truth, man.
Wow.
He said, Bill, and then years later,
So there was 2 beer joints left after that.
hey, Willie, you know who told me the same story years later?
Huh?
Grandpa Technic.
Really?
Yes, sir. Told me the same story.
So you're saying
You mean
that,
years before? Mm-hmm. Okay.
so the tornado took the clothes off the woman.
Son, they said they pulled the clothes clean off of her, son. And she was sitting on top of a chicken house. That's no lie, boy.
God, dude.
That ain't no joke.
Holy shit.
That ain't no kidding. Ain't that?
And that's how Hooters got started.
I don't guess them old boys that ever knew a tornado come.
Just blow you away.
Yeah. As long as their beer didn't blow away, they didn't care.
But you one of them old boys were drinking tea. Says, I'm gonna call this twisted tea now.
Yeah.
Starting to make me think like this wasn't an Albert story, was it?
No, wasn't out the story, son. Sure wouldn't. But it's boys, years ago, they was beer joints everywhere.
Yeah.
Son, they was beer joints. Every town had at least 3 or 4 of
How
them.
many beer joints did Shiner have back in the day?
Man, just from what I can remember, man,
Yeah.
you had
1980, 81. Tell us.
I know you boys don't remember Billy Max. Okay,
I've heard of it.
you remember right in front of the brewery right there used to be a
Yeah.
little building sitting right there.
Okay,
That's what-
yes.
Okay, that
it was
used
a
to-
yellow building right there in the Hilltop Road, right?
Yep. That
Yeah.
used, okay, that used to be Billy Mac.
Yeah.
He's told me where a lot of these places were
Okay,
before.
okay. You come on down the road there. You remember the old man that served beer across in the brewery? Old
Yeah.
man Seams.
Okay.
Once you cross that bridge right there, that place right there, right straight across from Sunken Gardens right there, that used to be Seams' place. That's another beer joint.
Wait, where was this?
It's right straight across from Sunken Gardens right there.
Cross street.
Yep, right across the
Okay.
street.
I was like, I thought the city
All
had
right,
all
boys.
that. No.
Okay, boys, you come on into town. You come on in. You make a right. You go down to Friendly Tavern.
I remember
Yeah.
that one.
You remember
Yeah.
where my
Yep.
brother-in-law had his haircutting shop?
Yes.
There was
Yeah.
a beer joint right there called Kohler's Place. Well, that Antique Bar and Grill's there right now.
Yeah.
What do you
Oh,
call it?
yeah.
Antique?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That was another
Antique,
one right there.
yeah,
Right
Antique
across-
Arts and Beer.
Right across the street right there, son, was Annie Weitzel's place. Was another beer joint. Right down there on the corner was Camilla's.
Yeah.
That was another beer joint. Come on up the road there, a little further. If you go, you remember where it's a candy store now, right there, man.
What was it? Yeah, I know where it is.
And you hang on it right there, man. You make up where Howard had his dentist office and all that.
I don't know where that was.
You know what I'm talking about? Willie?
Oh no,
I've heard
Okay,
about it.
right there where
that's before
right there
all
where
of our times.
right
I'm
there
sure.
where Williford's had his pharmacy.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on right down by Williford, like you're going back to the railroad tracks. Right over here's some of those old Hartford liquor store. Oh, no, Hartman, right there.
Okay.
Right there was another one. You know.
Dang.
Well, then you had Friendly.
Yeah.
Then you had Mackers. And
You were talking about Half Moon Saloon.
yep, Half Moon. Yeah, there's another one.
Okay,
Yep.
Caddy,
Yep.
it was Caddy
Right.
Corner across. There's they have that candy factory in there now.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Friendly Times.
Tell you what, boys, another place right there where old Weiss, old man, your old Mark got his place.
Yeah.
That little, what is that little pink building across the road there?
Uh huh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There's like a
like-
daycare or something like that.
It
wasn't
was for
Yeah.
at one time,
Hey,
yeah,
son,
for a short period.
Hey, son, that was Fool's place.
Golly,
That's another beer joint.
Dang.
man.
And you ain't even got into all the ones that existed out of town. Well, and then you had where Wheelo's at now was
Boy,
10th inning.
Yeah.
I know you boys are probably too young to remember. They used to right there where the bank is, right there and all that. There used to be a restaurant there called Post Cafe. Old Jimmy Zimmerhans will run that, and that was that was some of the best food, fellas. I think they ever had.
Dang.
Wow.
Old Jimmy-
Where South Star Bank is, or Sage Bank.
And know where Shiner Bank is right there. You know they added on that right here.
downtown
Son, that restaurant used to be right in here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Then right past that, when they got that ATM, that used to be Bain Ford Tractor, son. You remember that?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No, I never knew that.
Then you
I
go
did
across
not
the
know
street
that.
there, where they got that hospital and all that now down there. What do you ever call it?
Yeah.
That used to be warehouse and groceries.
So I remember that.
Yeah,
It used to be DJs. That's what I
used to
remember.
be DJs. Then
Oh,
you
the-
try to cross
Oh,
the
yeah,
street right there.
Seavers, where Seavers Clinics
Yep.
at.
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
we remember that.
Go
yeah.
across them railroad tracks right there. You know what that lawnmower place is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to be Macker's.
Really?
Really?
Yep. It was another grocery store even before that.
DJs used to own it.
Did they?
That's where his first grocery store he bought. Then they went to well houses.
Yes, I see people
Yeah, it
who
was
remember
Millstein,
like
ain't it?
even before
yeah.
Dad's talking here, like they talk about the 50s and 60s, and like there was something even before DJs there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
It was a
too,
it was a
yeah.
grocery store,
Yeah, I
but
remember.
like
You know what? Hey, you know what? Matter of fact, boys, Half Moon Saloon used to be a grocery store.
Really?
Yep, yes, sir. That used to be a grocery store.
and Palace Saloon used to be a drugstore.
Used to be a drugstore.
All them glass counters in there
Yeah.
Yep.
was the drugstore.
Yep, sure did.
Yeah.
Old boy that owned that son was him and his mother. His name was Bootsy Feetsum.
Bootsy feet.
They was from Schulenburg.
Dang.
That was his name.
I've heard that story. Yeah.
That's sure a lot different now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's different now,
See.
boy, you know that.
What was that little? Didn't there used to be a bar when you went out of town right before Miraz's right there?
Yeah, that used to be a wagon wheel.
Yeah. There's still
Wagon wheel.
are the bricks still there for that place? Or did they
Man,
finally?
Shoot, I don't know.
I can't remember. Did they finally?
I don't know.
Knock that down. I ain't even paid attention, dude.
Son, they was beer joints. Son,
There was
you
the
take
remnants
Moulton
of an
over
old building there for years, like
Yeah.
when we were growing
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
I think Moulton, no, Albert said they had like eight or nine. You know,
Golly.
And then what about all the little country bars?
all them little country boys out there.
The little stores
Yeah,
that serve
my heart,
beer
you know,
too.
my heart's out there, man.
My
That's
heart's
the one,
still
you know.
there, yeah.
Then you had 2 or 3 at Whitting. Let me see here. There was one at Praha, I think, if I remember right. They was everywhere, man.
I remember Sportsman's.
Yep, Sports,
when I was
yeah.
a kid, going in there, and Uncle Albert, and you all would stop there, going to Bolton, right off the highway. That building's still there too.
Oh,
That used to be,
Yeah.
that was famous to be, that used to be the famous spot was Gus's place. That's what it was called out there, Gus's place. Yep.
And then, you know what, Midway had a store and bar.
Yep, Midway had a store and bar.
And then you remember Petersville's bar back there.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
Petersville.
I spent a little time in there when I was
Bob
little.
Richards still owns that, don't he?
I don't.
Or does he
I don't-
own that?
I know there was another guy. Supposedly, there's another guy that owns that.
Oh,
you know,
does
he like the. They've got the mechanic shop and all that.
Right.
But there was some deal. My grandpa told me years ago. Whoever had the bar,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever had the little mechanic shop, they just kind of like let the roof go off one on the other. And it was. I guess they tied their stuff in together. I don't know.
You know, boy,
Yeah, but it used to be. I think it was like Jack Booth or something that had it.
Oh, okay.
And somebody would rent it from him and open
Really?
it and then rent it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
Really?
of the booths had it. Yeah,
I mean,
No
no.
joke.
yeah, and it's just sitting there.
Dude,
now.
last time I
Yeah,
drive by it
there
every
ain't nobody,
day.
ain't nothing in there now.
I know
you
there's
man.
like a window out of it. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's
Yeah.
got to be weather getting in there. Like, it
Oh,
seems like
yeah.
nobody's been paying attention to
Man,
that.
they halfway kind of fixed it up that last time because I don't know how old I was. I might have been like mid-20s or something.
Yeah.
But
Someone tried to reopen it there briefly. I remember
Yeah,
that.
I went in there. They had a little karaoke do. It had like 3 or 4 pool tables and
Yep.
kind of put them in the front and made some room. And they fixed it up a little bit, and then boom, it was down again.
Yeah. Man, there ain't been nobody in there for a long time. It's been a long time now.
Yeah, Bob and them got that mechanic shop
Yep.
going pretty good though.
Yeah, they do.
Oh,
boy.
yeah. Yeah.
He's been adding on and pouring some concrete and all kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, they're pretty busy there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in there a few times.
I saw they bought some tire machines and stuff the other day too.
Hey,
So doing some different things.
You got a question from or a few questions